All yours, Peter.
Hello.
Ah, there you are.
Indeed. Am I very late?
No, you just made it.
Okay.
Do you want to introduce Peter and Jorge?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Let me.
Your video is not on. Yeah, now.
Am I visible and audible?
You are indeed, Jacques.
It's wonderful to be in the room, and it's wonderful to be introducing Pieter and Jorge. Are we still waiting for a few people to enter the room, or shall we start?
I think starting is good, Jacques.
Okay. So I think we're in for a treat tonight. My beloved and I were lucky enough to hear these two perform at the Wordfears recently. So it's a great pleasure to introduce them. Pieter Madibuseng Odendaal is a poet, a translator, a musician. His two Afrikaans anthologies have been lauded and awarded prizes. And this year he published an English translation of some of these poems called A Corpse is Also a Garden, which appeared with Uhlanga earlier this year. And he's also produced a spoken word album this year. And Jorge Alejandro Ccoyllurpuma, I hope I've got that right, is a poet and translator who's passionate about the promotion and revitalization of Indigenous languages from the global South. And he heads a company that focuses on literary translation and intercultural communication and mediation. Maybe he'll say a few more words about that. So it's wonderful to welcome you two at the Red Wheelbarrow, and we look forward to hearing you in dialogue. And I thought I would welcome you as we always welcome poets with a poem by someone else. So I thought I would welcome you with a poem by Pablo Neruda, who's one of my favorite poets from the global South. This poem is called Enigmas. You've asked me what the lobster is weaving there with his golden feet. I reply, the ocean knows this. You say, what is the Assyria waiting for? And its transparent bell, what is it waiting for? I tell you, it is waiting for time like you. You ask me, the microstasis alga hugs in its arms. Study it at a certain hour, in a certain sea, I know. You question me about the wicked tusk of the narwhal, and I reply by describing how the sea unicorn with a harpoon in it dies. You inquire about the kingfisher's feathers which tremble in the pure springs of the southern tides. Or you found in the cards a new question touching on the crystal architecture of the sea anemone, and you'll deal that to me now. You want to understand the electric nature of the ocean spines, the armored stalactite that breaks as it walks, the hook of the anglerfish, the music stretched out in the deep places like a thread in the water. I want to tell you the ocean knows this, that life in its jewel boxes is endless as the sand, impossible to count, pure, and among the blood-colored grapes, time has made the petal hard and shiny, made the jellyfish full of light and untied its nut, letting its musical threads fall from a horn of plenty made of infinite mother of pearl. I am nothing but the empty net which has gone on ahead of human eyes, dead in those darknesses of fingers accustomed to the triangle longitudes on the timid globe of an orange. I walked around as you do, investigating the endless star, and in my net during the night, I woke up naked, the only thing caught a fish trapped inside the wind.
Wonderful. Thank you.
This is a poet deeply invested in knowing that he doesn't know. That was longer than I remembered. I'm going to mute myself and say the floor is yours. A warm welcome to both of you.
Thank you so much, Jock.
We feel so happy. Thank you so much for having us. Well, let us start. We would like to start with amazing poetry from South Africa, written by women. Tomorrow we are having this special day. We are not making any economic contribution. We will stop tomorrow because unfortunately, until now, each 2.5 hours, one woman is killed in South Africa. So that's why Peter is going to read some amazing poetry written by women.
Yeah, so two poems that we would like to share by way of opening tonight's reading. The first one is by Uhlanga Press. The poem is entitled Every 3 Hours because that was the statistic when she wrote the poem in 2019, that every 3 hours a woman in South Africa is killed. And as Jorge mentioned, now the number has now risen to every 2.5 hours. So I'll just, start the poem. Every 2.5 hours, this country buries us before we are born, calls us by our obituaries before it calls us by our names, makes us women with nervous conditions with their guard up, law enforcement with a broken system with too much power in authority with guns that gun down their spouses, telephones with missing person details with no follow-up, garages with toddlers who should be in school, vehicles with evidence with no power to prosecute, post offices with weapons, shopping malls with kidnappers, bathrooms with carnage. A carnage with no expiry date, clubs with druggers, alleyways with not enough light, and even with all the light, you would still not be safe. Ubers with panic, Taxify with paranoia, walks with tasers, in groups, in public, in places you wouldn't think it could happen. Graves with girls, taken too soon, too brutal, too horrifying to name, to document, to find, to mark as danger zones disguised as safe spaces with murderers who are husband material, schools with pedophiles with degrees in working with children, lecture halls with molesters, terminals with predators, construction sites with men old enough to understand no, churches with men who use your prayers for safety to get you on your knees with your arms raised. Every 2.5 hours, one of us doesn't make it. This country hangs our dignity at half-mast, waves our bodies as lessons to be learned, as moments that should teach us something, as modules, tests, experiments. My existence is not for your teaching to dislocate my mother's throat 6 feet under and compensate her grief with scholarships and amended policies. Policies that have gathered dust before they have even been drafted. This country buries us before we are born, calls us by our obituaries before it calls us by our names. Okay, and the second poem I'll be reading is by Manea Mohale from her collection Everything is a Deathly Flower. This is the titular poem. It's a glossa, so that means that each last line of the 4 stanzas is a line from a pre-existing poem. And the poem that she has taken inspiration from is called, has the following quote. In place of no, my leaking mouth spills foxgloves. Trumpets of tongued blossoms litter the locked closet. Up to my ankles in petals, the hanged gowns close in. Mother multiplied, more, there are always more. By Sahid Jones. The memory returns to me as a dream. Ink blot rising black, weeping porous on the night's page. In place of my room, I lie sleeping in an open forest. Moss a bed beneath me, blanket of cedar leaves, fragrant and warm as a prayer. Until you arrive, in all your silent menace, you are keeping watch, your night vigil brief, searching for a moment when my sleep dips deepest. You sneak into the moss and touch me without my consent. In place of no, my leaking mouth spills foxgloves, soundlessly onto the pillowed green. You do not stop. Instead, you mistake the flood of petals from my mouth as pleasure. You do not stop. Instead, you read my body's rigidness as yes. You read my silence as permission. You read my closed eyes as assent, and my turned head as, of course I am black and woman and queer. What else could my body be for but entry? How else am I legible but are safe to violate? Everything is a deathly flower. Trumpets of tongued blossoms litter the locked closet, standing unmoved behind us. Panic paces its itch across my back, and for a moment I forget my power until I arrive. In the dream, everything is different. I will my eyes to open. I throw you off of me onto the floor. I summon the vines to snake around your wrists like venom. In the dream, the ground asks you what on earth you are doing. In the dream, everything rises to protect me. The petals from my mouth are survivors. I am up to my ankles in petals. The hanged gowns close in, ensnaring you, and suddenly I am safe. Everything is different in the dream. In the dream, I'm safe forever. I leave my moss bed with bare feet. Somewhere a lover calls me by name. Gift mother, she says. We find each other by the water. I leave the foxgloves behind me. Every petal that fell from my mouth is a survivor. They are my mother multiplied, more. There are always more. Thanks. Now I'm going to give over to Jorge to share some of his poems from his upcoming collection that we've translated from Spanish into English.
Yes, thank you, Peter. Thank you also for translate my poems into English. Upcoming, the sky blue sort of your body will be released soon in South Africa, so I'm very excited to share these poems with you guys. I made this joke in Stellenbosch because, of course, as you notice it, English is not my mother, and of course, it's not even my friend. So I'll do my best to read these poems for you guys. This is the sky blue sword of your body. Do not overthink, do not judge, do not assume, because that way life gets dirty and grinds to a halt. Better trust the sky blue sword of your body that splits the sea in two, and the lilac magma that boils in your head. Let the trees point to the sky when you point to the sky. Let the dogs bark. Do not fear, because fear corrodes diamond mountains. Do not let the carnation of your frown frighten you. Love is patient. Love flows like the river of stars above us, immense, bright, and serene. Do not be scared of hurricane fires. They are just the confused, startling reflections that your eyes project onto the chest of that turquoise star, that cubic, spherical African comet, that rotating atom, that brother of the sun. The next poem is Contemplation of the Star That Vanishes When Named. The dry grass ignites as you walk, and keunya, plum, and pisonite trees grow from the ashes. That's why you have been called to lasso the sun on the coldest day of winter and bring it back. That's why you have been called to regulate the cycle of maize and potatoes. That's why you have been called to transport the biggest rocks, because you can polish them just by licking them. You can make them into geometric shapes and weld them together harmoniously. That's why you have been called to reconstruct the myth and provoke Pachacuti, but cash is tight and time is short. You get up at 4:30 each morning, work till noon, and then try to stay awake during the night class. Every day you wake up at dawn, and when the radio and television waves see you, they turn into golden mirrors that reflect and multiply your beauty into the lit sky. Friend, I understand that it's difficult to tie the sun on the coldest day of winter because they stole your time. You've none left to redistribute the maize. But I want you to know that the Lord of Ccoyllurpuma told me that if the sky became a flag, it would look like you. And the music, ceremony, and myth will appear in the center of that flag, waving above the mountains when we finally declare our victory. The next poem is New Hymns to Cusco. The wall, this is about ayahuasca. You know, ayahuasca is a very powerful sacred plant that we drink in Peru in order to heal, in order to know other universes, other worlds, other dimensions. The wall that I am, the pre-Hispanic wall, is cracking, bro, from the intense rains of your death. My chest finally collapses and my ribs open up and my viscera start glowing. A song advances in geometric patterns, a fluorescent song reflecting the iridescence of ancient Peruvian gods. What is going on, bro? What did you give me to drink from the kingdom of the dead? A window opens in my skull. The sparrows sing on the planet of amniotic fluid where the ancient Peruvian gods calmly gravitate. The sky is cadmium, cobalt, steel, and bronze. And now that I am a puma, geometric patterns multiply on the stone claws of my hand. What have you given me, bro? What have you made me drink? The rhombuses contain divine colors, the colors of stridency, the colors of Huayno music, and the colors of all Amazonian tongues. The gods cry in my nape, which is their house, the liquid planet where they gravitate. The roots grab me by the legs. An entourage of women dressed in white invite me to close my eyes. Little elves play tricks on me, bro. I travel lying down in a canoe, sliding through a river of musical bubbles. The formidable spectacle of an insect moves on your back. A pool of cosmic crystals in the insect's eyes, the two-faced trees, the celestial aura of stones, the house that I built with tobacco smoke to shelter those who have died of cold, the house that I built with coca leaves to feed those who have died of hunger, like you, like you, like you, and like my ancestors. I vomit the old house of terror. I vomit the plastic factory and the asbestos building they built on top of my sternum. I vomit rotting dinosaurs. I vomit all the sins of the world and they fly from my mouth like giant nocturnal butterflies. I vomit shells and knives and sharp-edged stones, storms and metal shoes, cadmium and cobalt, steel and bronze and azurite from the sky. I open my eyes, bro. What have you done to me? What have you given me? Father Sun penetrates a salt atom in the water and turns it into a mountain of quartz. Father Sun waves a green flag, bro. You can soak your feet in the water and at the sight of your smile, Father Sun spills flower petals over the sea. And my last poem is, well, the context is we were living in Potchefstroom for 3 years and it was terrible. So it's about that. The name of this poem is Potchefstroom, South Africa. It's going to be a little bit in Quechua and then in English. Quechua is a Peruvian indigenous language. Hatung nyusta mama Afrika, sumachtanta mikuna mastarich, komer pachayuch mamayay. Please help me. I'm about to commit a crime. I'm about to decapitate someone, to dance in their blood. I don't like the way they talk to me, Pachamama. I hate the way they stare at me and laugh. I remember their historical atrocities, so I react. I want to transform them into birds. I want to sing Sibe happy, Sibe munye with them, but they don't listen. All they do is pray to Jesus with one hand raised and torture you with the other until you disappear. I hate them so much, Pachamama. I shoot them with purple crystal arrows in my mind. I have forgotten what you taught me with your words, like blue armored birds, your golden goats destroying cars. In Makanda, I saw restless spirits crowding the hills. They whispered to me, bring us food. The soil is soaked in our blood, and crops no longer grow on this land. Fuck you, King of Spain. Fuck you, Queen of England. You are criminals and you're going to pay dearly for your crimes. You are not pure. I'm sick of your whiteness and I refuse to perpetuate your lies. In Peru, we say, never eat in front of the hungry, but you're always eating in front of people who are starving because of you and your fucking political jokes. I was screaming those things at them, Pachamama, wasted as hell, Pachamama, what should I do? Must I commit a crime to bring justice? Pachamama, call me replies through the waters of the Moi Rivière. Wawayay, intechchuring, amanya wakainachu wawayay, look, the modern world rests on fragile pillars of smoke. Be a little more patient, and when they come to you again with their overblown dementia, don't try to kill them. They are already dead. Become a prehistoric rock instead. Rejoin the great Andean mountains and move on. Don't worry, my son. Justice is coming. The criminals will destroy themselves. Your madness will subside, and the stolen land will be given back to the future. Now, Peter, please come to us.
Thank you so much, Jorge. I'm going to read from my English collection tonight. A corpse is also a garden, and I'm very happy to see Marika also at the reading. She was the editor for this book and helped a lot with to improve the translations and decide on the ultimate order. And then, of course, for Nick Mulgrew for publishing and believing in the work. Thank you so much. Okay. So they who are no longer them, for Grandpa Piet. My ancestors surround me. In each breath I take, in the wild grass, the summers, and the aurora lights in the heavens of my brain. They return to the atmosphere when their carbon chains decouple and disperse like water evaporating from the sea. They weave themselves back into the world. They diffuse into the day, and I see through them. I carry my ancestors on my face, a collage of my origins, the same ones that surround me, so they who are no longer them can meet themselves through my eyes in the wind. Okay, this next poem is written in fragments, scenes from a gay childhood, or how I learned to swear. We change into red Speedos before PE next to the pool. The boys cluck around the slit between us and the girls' change rooms. I'm quite happy with my surrounds. Somewhere in pre-primary, almost drowned out, but his name started with an M or N. We show our planets to each other in the last toilet stall, the most natural thing on earth. I saunter past the boys in the sun after break, shiny ties, short grey shorts. Someone shouts, "Pieter, guys, asses against the wall." The line bursts into laughter, their mouths shatter everywhere. Our hands feed the current around our bodies in his parents' pink bath. His gums the color of dusk when he laughs. I hide somewhere behind his eyes until the cold crumples our toes and fingers into maps. We roll tea leaves in toilet paper, proudly light them in the toaster. Our lungs regret it instantly. My ex is your girlfriend. We lie next to each other and far away from ourselves, hold each other's cold pinkies in the longest, greenest shadow on the dirt green lawn in the backyard of my youth. I sprint home, bag slicing through my collarbones. Someone shouted, "Faggot," in class. I ask Jesus to forgive me. I shout, "Fuck, fucking mother, motherfucking, motherfucker," for the first time in my life. The wind hurls my screams and the boys' frozen hearts down the avenue of leafless trees where you don't come to find me. I tighten the tie striped around my neck, tears of laughter for the freedom in my mouth. This next one is dedicated to my uncle, Tuami. The collection is also dedicated to him. He passed away earlier this year, unfortunately, but he kind of paved the way for me as a queer man in our family. He left his wife and kids at the age of 40 and went and started a gay club in Durban, and lived the best time of his life, I think. And so this is written after visiting that club. Escape eThekwini for Tuami. Early morning cig butts lie like abandoned kisses on the deck. The staff, my uncle and his lover, snore away after 4 a.m. closing. The drizzle still glimmers on the railing's lips in the morning sun that mostly doesn't shine for us. How many queers clipped off their accessories last night before sneaking home to count stars against the ceiling until dawn, searching for a livable planet? Later, your coarse palms, your unending smile, we heave in the darkroom, reach out for something holy, something that will save us, my warm, throbbing hero. Tonight, we drink body shots, our bloodshot eyes see far, our hips become hurricanes, lips pout like raspberries for a mouth or cigarette. We plummet through the splintered hands of strangers who love us as little as we love ourselves. Tomorrow we'll cough awake the day, but our hearts refuse to forget the beat. We strut to sweat our shit away. So stand closer under the disco ball. Soon we'll disappear like water when the sun swallows us whole and kneads us into clouds. This poem is, just grab some water, sorry. This poem is based on a historical hunt that happened on the 24th of August, 1860, here in Banesvlei, just outside Bloemfontein, where Prince Alfred from the British Empire came to visit what was still then a British colony and had what has been called the greatest hunt in history. It's become, known by that moniker. So this poem is inspired by that event. The greatest hunt in history. Moshweshwe kisses the prince's feet like dried manure to save his mountain kingdom, while the Baralong herd animals into Banesvlei between skulls and sweet thorns. Prince Alfred, pipsqueak, disaster in the making, crosses the Allewil hills with his retinue, his horses, gunpowder, the Bible. Mkai would greet him thus. Qitela pambili tolle silo, nyashaze kadinyashaza, qita uzubuye kakuhle, ntlalifa yela kowetu. The dung prince's wagons infiltrate dusk. Adam Cook hugs him in Bloom's red streets. Sir Grey drools about chops. Fearful hooves trample through Alfred's dreams. Sun spills like fool's gold across the plain. They scrum the flay into dust and adrenaline. Lost bontebokke, vindictive wildebeest, quaggas and zebras crush their neighbors' breastbones. Springbok shrapnel, ostriches mangle the veld. 30,000 trembling hearts in the morning. The Baralong trap the horde of muscle and breath. The prince shoots a wildebeest. The slaughter begins. Herds explode. Calves vanish. A hurricane of flesh, neighs and collisions. They stoke lightning on the hills, cordon off exits, stuff loaded guns in the teen prince's hands. He shoots and shoots, shoots and shoots. They devour the earth, and the market pays 3 shillings per hide. The prince stares across the battlefield. A drop of buck blood kisses his ear. 5,000 carcasses, manna for the vultures. Their horns gored the heavens today. The evening is a teeming wound of petrified stars. Okay, and my last poem before we'll do a bit of simultaneous reading is also the titular poem of the collection, A Corpse is Also a Garden. I know for certain my body or the world will desert me. Horribly or quietly, my heart will come to a stop and I'll become a garden for the fungi that sprouted me. The buffet of my cells will flourish elsewhere. The mouths of hungry flowers scream on the koppies, the valleys yawn to swallow me whole. But for now, I'm a sweet thorn tree on feet, spilling words like small yellow flowers. For now, I'm a donkey gorging on shopping bags, a flock of hungry hands, a whirlpool, a thunderstorm, and one day, thank God, I'll be done. My mouth no longer this muddy membrane, this traffic jam of swear words, carbohydrates, and breath. I'll turn into a gateway for the bugs to carry me away. And finally, I'll feel at home on earth. Come, Jorge.
Hello, I'm back.
Yeah, so I mean, because we're both poets and translators, we've been enjoying translating each other's work. Yeah, so this is the Spanish edition of my poetry that appeared, that Jorge translated, appeared in Peru earlier this year. And yeah, we're also collaborating now on his English collection. So we want to do just to conclude the reading, 4 poems that we read in tandem.
This one is called Pachamama. I forgot to mention that Pachamama means Mother Earth in Quechua language. So let's go.
Okay.
Pachamama.
Mother Earth.
Hatun kapah mamayay, hatun karay munaywarmi, kanchis chunka veces, kanchis millones, aswan hatun mi runamanta kanki mamayay, burbuja celeste y cósmica, wixaymantarak saphikunata lloksirachimuy, alpaykiwan tinkiska kanaypaq mamá, mana saphiyoq pakarirqani, hamurani waqcha kay mundoman.
Grateful mother, gigantic and radiant woman, you are 700 times 7 million bigger than man, mother. Cosmic blue bubble, let my gut grow roots to cling to you, mother, because I was born rootless. I arrived in this world an orphan.
Sacha,
The forest, medicinal herb, even wild straw grow as they cling to you. They know your greatness up close. They've known you for billions of years, mother, your children without feet. But I am a wanderer, a vagrant and lonely in the jungle.
Mamayay, Pachamama, hatun miski mihuchih, nina sonkoyoh pistuh mamayay.
Mother, Pachamama, provider of the sweetest food, refuge, and a heart of fire, mother. From today on, I declare, I am your son. I will no longer be an orphan, and roots will grow from my feet and intestines to reach your great and deep heart, forged from fire, my mother. Okay. Yes, the next one is from my Afrikaans collection, Wegraak.
Desaparecer.
Ons stap ergens buite McGregor,
pueblo, un campo de
plaas in die hang van die berg, oor ons groei rond plase klipkamp tot vallei, 'n bank wolke kom ingekoeë gerug. Ons gaan sit op die koppie, die pieke op eilande in asem steek, en kom lek aan ons ledemate, ons klim uit onsself uit, en asem die weerloosheid van waterdamp in, ons word uitgevee.
Los
Die
picos de
skerwe
la tierra
aardkors
también se
om ons
desvanecen,
patroon.
se raspan
Skraap
contra el
tot
techo
teen aan die
azul
blou
y se retiran en cámara
meer dan
lenta
in slow-mo,
hasta que la tierra
dat die
se vuelve
grond
otra vez
weer
plana
gelyk word,
y las
en
nubes
hier
se
weer
reúnen
wolke
otra
kom lê,
vez, como
asof
si
geen
nunca hubiera
berge
habido
ooit hier gewoon het.
montañas. This one is from my collection. Tengo miedo.
I'm scared.
Bebé,
Baby,
enciérrame un ratito
lock me
dentro tuyo.
inside you for a little
Ábremelo la
while.
puerta de tu
Open the
pecho,
door to your
chiquito aunque
chest,
sea,
just a
para que
little
pueda
bit,
entrarse
so
en mi
my little head
cabecita y mi
leaden
corazón de
heart can
plomo.
enter.
Libérame,
Free me from
por
the
favor,
pain in
del
my
dolor de mis
tendons, please,
tendones,
from
del
the monster
monstruo que
that lives
habita en
inside
mí.
me.
Protege
My
mi
mouth
boca del
from
veneno.
poison.
Hoy que me levanté a cacar por la mañana, vi caballos de oro incendiándose sobre el cielo mientras dormías.
When I got up to shit this morning, I saw golden horses burning in the sky while you were sleeping.
Y no
And I
sé
don't know
por
why,
qué,
baby.
bebé,
I
tuve
was
miedo de
scared
que
that
se
I
me
would break
rompan
my
los
fingers,
dedos, de
that
que
my
se me hagan
knees would
polvo las
turn to dust,
rodillas y
and
de
that I
que no
wouldn't
pueda
be able
ayudarte
to
de
help you
viejito a
walk when you
caminar.
are old.
Ese ratito nomás despertaste y una playa y el mar tibio se proyectaron de tus ojos y en la pared vimos un video de K-pop.
Then you woke up and your eyes projected a K-pop video on the beach against the wall. You
A ti no
don't
te
like
gusta el
K-pop,
K-pop,
but
pero me
you love
amas,
me,
así
so
que
we danced,
bailamos y
and we were
fuimos
little
perritos
dogs
que
chasing the
disfrutan
waves
persiguiendo
of that
las olas
beach.
de aquel mar. Quisiera ser tu
I
cuna,
want to be your
bebé.
cradle,
Y también
baby.
quisiera
I want
que
you to
abras las
open the
compuertas
gates
de
of your
tu
chest
pecho
and
para
let me
meterme en
in
ti
so
y
I can
olvidarme de
forget
todo
everything
y
and
solo
only focus
concentrarme en
on your
tus entrañas
insides as
mientras
you
me
protect
proteges
me
con
with
la
the
luminosa
luminous shell
envoltura de
of
tu
your body.
cuerpo.
Thank you so much, Wheelbarrow, for having us. We will conclude with this last poem written while we were living in Peru. If I wake before I die,
Si despierto antes de morir,
Andahualillas,
Andahualillas, Perú.
Peru. If I wake
Si
before I
despierto antes de
die,
morir,
I'll go out
saldré para
and
llenar
fill
mis
my
pulmones
lungs with
con
the
el
scent
aroma de
of
la
earth
tierra,
after a
luego de una
long
larga
night's
lluvia
reading.
nocturna.
I'll squat on my haunches in a cornfield's morning light, coffee steaming like a heart in my hands, the sparrows' shadows shooting arrows overhead.
Me
I'll
acuclillaré
walk
sobre
up
mis talones en la luz matinal de una chacra de maíz, el café humeando como un corazón en mis manos, la sombra de los gorriones serán flechas sobre mí.
I'll walk
Subiré a
up
la
to the
montaña,
mountain, feel
sentiré
the
la
caffeine
cafeína
pulse
latiendo
in
en
my
mis sienes,
temples. The
el
wind
viento
will
barrerá
blow
mi
my skull
cráneo y
clean, and I'll
observaré muy
take a good
bien
look
a mi
at
yo
my dying
moribundo.
self. I'll caress the spring
Acariciaré la
grass,
hierba
the
fresca,
far blue
las
peak,
lejanas
the
cumbres
bright
azules,
valley,
todas las
all
rocas
the graceful
agradecidas
glimmering rocks,
y volveré
and I'll
con el
come back
perro
down with the dogs
siguiéndome.
in tow. Walk
Regresaré
back
a
home,
casa, me
snuggle
acurrucaré
under the
bajo el
far
edredón
blue
azul
duvet,
y
and
descongelaré mis
thaw my
huesos
bones
con el
in the
calor
heat
de tu
of your
piel.
skin.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for having us. This is amazing and beautiful.
It was wonderful to hear you read again and perform again. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful. It's wonderful to hear you in conversation, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention Jorge's upcoming book and also the spoken word album, which I'm very eager also to hear Ontaard. This is usually where I hand over, and would you be happy to answer questions if anyone has questions to ask?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Can we have a hand of applause, please, for Pieter and Jorge? You can unmute and give them a hand.
Hey, well, thank you, Peter, and thank you, Jorge. That was incredibly powerful and very urgent, and just beautifully threaded as well, the whole reading. Does anyone have questions? I could start us off with a question, but yeah. Okay. I guess my question is something which perhaps your reading lends itself to, and that is translation. And how did you navigate this, and how do you navigate this? Is there something more you want to say about the process? It just seems like a very significant, unmissable part of what you're doing. So.
Yeah, we feel very lucky actually. For me to translate the book of Peter into Spanish was beautiful and easy, very easy. I know my book was a little harder, but you know they say when you translate good poetry, it actually is easier. So it's beautiful to work with him because it's like we know what we're talking about. You know, we both are poets, so we're always finding the best sounds and the best words and the best. We read over and over and over again the verses, and it's beautiful. I love working with Peter actually.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it obviously helps that we're under the same roof. So, you know, the process is collaborative throughout. And like Jorge mentioned, like, you know, once we have drafts, then we'll read it aloud together and then kind of focus on the sonic qualities and what works for us and not. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel very lucky to have met this guy and to be on this, like unique intercontinental poetry translation journey in the global south and finding connections and making connections and hopefully also weaving these two nations and cultures that are quite distant from each other often, I think, to weave them a bit closer together through in our small way.
Yes, I think we have more in common than anything else. So I think that's one of our biggest goals is to bring the global south together. I think that's a beautiful future that we are dreaming about.
Well, thank you. I mean, when you were reading, it was incredible. The sort of singing of the voices, really enjoyed. Yeah.
Thanks, yeah. Yeah, and obviously you also kind of make small adjustments when you read the poems. You kind of do them together, like small rhythmic changes or things just kind of switch around, specifically because of how it kind of sounds in dialogue, I think, together. So yeah, that's also interesting.
Also, thank you so much for all the comments. We are reading them, so we are also very happy to know about your ideas and nice words over there.
Definitely, yes.
Can I ask, if, Peter, your I don't know if it's because I've also read Afrikaans, but I mean, it was lovely to also read a poem that has the particular Peru feeling, but you engage quite a lot with South African history, and it's quite nice to have like an history is not neutral feeling of it. And I was just wondering of how Jorge find that in terms of the translation and that kind of. I always want to say it feels to me that you're engaging quite a lot with Afrikaans in a way that is, I would feel was almost like it must be very unwelcoming to you as a person, and how that is, how that's part of that where you are. I'm sorry, I don't know if I put that well.
So sorry, Marika. So are you asking kind of how Jorge found the translation process with the work that kind of engages with the Afrikaans and South African history specifically?
Yes.
Okay. How was it to translate the work that
Well,
the South African history?
Well, for me, of course, I've been living here for 3 or more years, so now I understand what is the Afrikaners culture and Potchefstroom and so on. But I think I like that Afrikaans culture is also very related to nature. So that feeling in Peter's poetry is very present, the nature and the relationship that we have with nature, as nature is a person, a bigger person. So I think that makes me feel good, and I like that connection that we have through nature, not just in the poetry itself, but also in everyday's life. We are very connected to nature.
And also, like, I can just speak to translating Jorge's poetry and then deciding kind of which poems to include in the end in his English collection. There was definitely a consideration for, like, how is this going to speak to South African audience? Will it not? And obviously, it's an Andean cosmovision. It's a South American history that he brings with his work. So you want to keep that strangeness, that foreignness, but at the same time, you want the reader to relate. So it is a bit of like a tightrope, I think, walking between intelligibility and retaining that otherness of the work of the regional cultural context.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marika.
Thank you, Peter, Jorge, and Marika. A lovely question. Jacques, I think your hand was next, and then there's a question in the chat as well. But I think Jacques, you were up now, at least.
I'm busy formulating a question, but really, I just want to smile, and it's strange because both of you deal with very difficult subjects at times, with deep grief and rage. And what I sense in both of your work is this longing for community. The word that comes to me is community. And I wonder, it's not really so much a question, but it's what I feel is what I feel at the end of your reading is this kind of hope. There's a kind of visionary feeling that I get, and I felt it very strongly, Peter, in that poem about your uncle. I felt it very strongly in the ayahuasca poem, Jorge. Yeah, I don't know that there's a maybe are there poets from the global south that really move you and that speak to this this kind of, it's not utopian, but it's a kind of a longing for a different world, a different kind of world, and it's that world feels very possible in your poems.
Yes, I do believe that. Excuse. Can I answer? Yes. Well, I think in my case, what I try to do is some kind of futurism. Nowadays, in the global south, there are some writers are trying to go back to the indigenous roots in order to create a new, to imagine a new world. And I think that's very nice, because when sometimes we are trapped by Western mindset, we cannot, in one hand, connect with other mindset and other cosmovisions, and in the other hand, it's very difficult to understand that actually there are different ways to understand the world. And I think that's one of the most important things we are trying to do in Peru, is to reconnect with our indigenous heritage, with our indigenous mindset, because life is completely different when you think, for example, mountains can talk, or you can actually receive information from the mountains, or from the ocean, or from the river. So yes, I feel very optimistic, because actually for Andean people, what is happening right now in the world is what we call as pachacuti. That this is a very cataclysmic cycle that turns reality upside down, and it happens each 500 years. So those kind of ideas we are trying to work with in order to imagine a very different future than Western mindset is, trying to force us to have.
Yes, no, I think you said it well.
Great.
Maybe we can answer Maru's question in the chat. They asked, what happens in the spirit when an ancestral language meets a colonial language? For you, does poetry become a territory for reconciliation or a subtle battlefield? And then the second part of the question, and when you mix languages in a poem, which truth are you trying to reach that a single language cannot hold?
Wow.
Okay, I'll answer the second part, and then you answer the first part, okay? I think it's just that like truth that we live every day, as kind of interlingual couple, where we kind of start inventing our own language, that sometimes you'll have like the grammar of Spanish, but then Afrikaans and English words, and maybe like a Quechua word in there as well, as you know, just when we're communicating with each other. So that kind of Babylonic confusion is something that I think we productively work with in these kind of multilingual readings. And also for me, it's almost like, thanks, Robert. See your message. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your presence a lot. Yeah, so just the other thing is also that I see it almost as like two instruments, you know, the two languages that we combine, or three languages that combine, different instruments. So you think about it as a duet, and really where does the one instrument give space for the other one? Where does the intensity of the poem require like a simultaneous increase in confusion, and those kind of things. So I guess the structure of the reading then becomes an additional tool for meaning making when you're working with multiple languages.
Yes, Maru, thank you so much for your question. She's a poet from Peru also. She's living right now in Chile.
Bienvenida, Maru.
Yes, Maru, te queremos mucho. Well, actually, for you, does poetry become a territory for reconciliation or a subtle battlefield? I think inherently colonial languages are violent. Ne? And nowadays, the global south is still, you know, being robbed and being treated as an inferior from us. I mean, the global north still think that we are inferior, that is still taking territory, they are still taking resources. So we are in a war still, right? Colonization is still a war. So I think the poetry in this case is a battlefield, less violent, but yes, I think so. Yes, it's still a battle.
I think Georgia also has a hand up.
Hi, guys.
Hello,
Wow.
Georgia.
I think I'm just about back in the room now after that. You're amazing. I said it in the chat as well. It was absolutely incredible for me. I'm someone I was born in Zimbabwe, and I now live between England and Spain, and still have a foot in Africa. And, you know, so it's such a surprise for me this evening to sit here and witness what you've just done. And I think, yeah, there may be a question in there, but I think what I wanted to say, that the thing that came to me was how incredible it was what you did with your words, and this crossover that you did, and when you spoke together with. I think I had a little advantage in understanding some of the Spanish words as well. Obviously, it's not the Spanish that I'm used to, but it's so incredibly beautiful. But to me, it felt like I can really see for myself how important it is to, when you stand in a new country, or you are somewhere away from what feels familiar, and you are learning about that. It's like your footprints, you know, it's footprints on new soil. And there is discomfort and comfort at the same time, because a footprint is a footprint. And yet, and I just had this image when you were both talking like this, was this thing that you're doing is like you're standing, these footprints are happening simultaneously on these different soils, and there's this crossover. And of course, it's all about the heartbeat. It's all about where it's coming from. And you just absolutely moved the hell out of me tonight with that, because I could feel what you're doing is just so incredibly important. And just so touching. And I just look forward to hearing more and reading more. And I just want to say thank you so much. It was wonderful.
Thank you so
yeah,
much,
there
Georgia.
there was some kind of question, but I'm afraid I lost it now.
No, it's okay. I'm glad that you know, that you could kind of catch some of the Spanish
Yeah,
as well, you know, because that I think that also like adds another dimension. But yeah, it's kind of a way to try and get our worlds and backgrounds and histories together without erasing the individual voices, you know, or something
incredible.
like that.
Incredible. And you're opening other worlds. I mean, you are making the unseen possible and the unknown possible, and it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're glad we could touch it in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Georgia. We
Thank
almost
you.
have the same name. You are Georgia, I'm George.
Yeah, it's true. Muchas gracias.
De nada, gracias a ti.
a usted.
Okay.
I think that's it. Eh?
Yeah. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you, Maru, for your questions. And thank you, Pieter and Jorge again. It was just amazing stuff. Thank you. If there are any further questions, if there aren't any further questions, then I think we can take a break and see you in 5 minutes. So that'll be 20:41 on this clock. So we have an open mic session, which usually a lot of fun. 2 rounds of poems, either your own poems or someone else's work. Hope to see some of you back. Yeah, in a short while. I'm just going to stop the recording.
Great. See you soon. Bye.
Alrighty.